I shot at cars with a paintball gun as they were driving on a highway. I was young, maybe 17, and me and couple friends were bored out of our minds one day, so we decided to explore an abandoned house on a side of a highway. We parked our car a few miles away in a neighborhood and walked through brush/ranch land in the middle of the night with our paintball guns to get to the house. We used to explore a lot of abandoned places in our city, so we learned to park the car as far away as we could and walk to the location to minimize getting into trouble. Anyway, once we were there, the old house was in really bad shape and was practically falling apart on its own. We didn't spend too much time in it, and not satisfied with the situation, we decided to use our paintball guns to shoot at the cars passing by, because why the fuck not? We were stupid. We all lined up, ambush-style, prone on the ground and tucked in between the brush. It was dead night and there was no way anyone could have seen us. We wore dark clothing. A few cars passed by, we all shot a volley of rounds, but it seemed like we kept missing. Cars were going maybe 45 to 60 miles per hour, so after a few tries and compensating for the speed, I remember we had to aim way ahead of the car. It was insane. We started to get solid hits, we could hear the impact. Most of them kept driving off. I'm assuming they thought they hit a rock or small insect or something, and we would just laugh like idiots every time we'd get a hit. However, this one guy we hit abruptly stopped and got out of the car immediately and started looking for us with a flashlight. I don't know if he had his windows up or down, so we may or may have not hit him directly, but I'm assuming we did. Judging by how quickly he reacted and got off his vehicle and searched in our general direction, he knew. We frantically started running away from the area and eventually made it back to our car, and that was the end of it. Looking back at it, it was a stupid and idiotic thing to do. I wouldn't like it if I was in their place. I apologize for whoever we stained their cars and that other guy who went looking for us, who we may have potentially hurt. I know it's already in the past, and what's done is done, but I wanted to share a story. Quite a few years ago, there were some boys who used to stand over one of the bridges on a freeway and throw little things off, mainly pebbles, fruit, stuff like that. One of them got the idea to throw a half brick off the bridge. Went through some poor guy's windscreen, smashed the side of his head in. He's now paraplegic with a massive dent in his skull, and they never found the kids who did it. I totally get it. You were kids, it was fun. But maybe one day, if you have kids, or if you already have kids and hear of them doing things like this, you'll sit them down and explain that throwing/shooting any projectiles at moving vehicles is incredibly dangerous and can change theirs and someone else's life forever. When I was 12, 1996, I had a pellet gun. I made friends with a 13-year-old bad kid. He talked me into bringing the pellet gun to his house and began shooting every window he could see. He talked me into joining in, and I too shot some windows. We started with neighbors' barns/sheds. Then houses. Then started shouting at the cars driving by. It was so ridiculously stupid. I can't believe I met him talk me into doing this. I knew better but let myself get talked into it. The last car to get hit was a taxi with his mother in it. The window shattered right beside her face and could have killed her. I was too young to be charged, but he got arrested. Turns out we put over 30K worth of windows out. He went to juvenile detention for 6 months because of it, and I got a lot of hate from the townspeople. We were the folks whom we vandalized. I was so young and stupid that I couldn't think ahead to the damage I was causing others. I was a pretty irresponsible kid, and over the next few years got into a lot of trouble with the law until I did something for which the consequences of my actions changed my life forever. There was a true crime story that happened a few years ago. You can look up the article. But some kids thought it would be funny to throw junk/garbage over the bridge/overpass and down onto the highway below where cars were going full speed. The kids were about 14 to 17 in age range, and they also started throwing some rocks. One rock, hitting a car at high speed, mashed the front window of a car and hit a passenger in the head. He died. And before it got that bad, murder, they had also caused many car accidents that could have also resulted in death. The man that was killed was a father of 2 and on his way to work. The other sad part? The group of kids barely got a slap on the wrist. For manslaughter. Unbelievable. This stuff just makes me angry. It's not funny. It's not hilarious. It's utterly stupid. Aside from scaring the people you hit and damaging property that they maybe didn't have the money to fix, someone could have gotten out of their vehicle and started shooting back at you. What if you had hurt or killed someone? Would that have been so funny? I hope you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat feeling the fear you caused others. Someone must have been playing around with a gun, shot it and hit my brand new car, and now there's a permanent bullet hole in my driver's side back door. I'm still paying this car off. It happened when it was under lease. I was livid, to say the least. Then there was the time when a few teenagers jumped onto my car in the middle of the night. Any other time my alarm would go off at the slightest breeze, but this time it didn't go off at all, to vandalize my car, spray painted a swastika on my sunroof, and a bunch of graffiti on my car, and the cop told me that I deserved it. I mind my business and don't bother anyone. Stupid jerk cop. Sorry, this post triggered these bad memories for me. But it's nothing compared to people who got hurt. Similar happened to a friend of mine, except he got caught. The windows were down and hit a pregnant woman in the shoulder sitting in the passenger. The enraged husband came out with a tire iron. He heard scuffling from afar and caught up with my friend. He was 12 at the time. The husband only thought to pick him up by one arm, flick his balls, smudged mud into his face, it was damp outside, dropped him and drove away without saying anything. The story spread throughout the school and it turned out it was a classmate's dad. Friend never told anyone about it but confirmed it happened. He definitely learned a lesson. My husband did this with a BB gun way back when he was 17. He broke a window, had no idea it even happened, just thought they were bouncing off the cars. He got caught, brought to court, had to pay fines, and 20 years later when he tried to get a gun license he wasn't able to, eventually did after a lot of paperwork, lawyer fees, etc. Don't be an idiot. When I first got my license, me and my buddies decided to do something similar but not quite as dumb. We drove around with slingshots and flung paintballs at semi-trailers on the road. I think we made more mess inside my truck than the side of the trailers. Slingshots and paintballs don't work well together. My brother is partially paralyzed from shooting at random people with a paintball gun. Someone thought it was a real gun and returned fire. Don't fuck around with random people. The guy had severe PTSD and it made him think he was still in a war zone. The shooter wasn't charged with anything and my brother has $250K plus in medical bills. Honestly, 17 is old enough to know better. At that age you're not exactly not a kid, but you should 100% know right versus wrong. 17 is the age you shoot each other with paintball guns and bottle rockets, not strangers, and destroy property. When I was 10 and my friend threw mud balls at cars from a hiding place. Caused a car crash. The driver rightly marched us to our parents and I got ground and a good beat down. Well and truly deserved, and I'm glad that was the approach taken. The only time I got hit, but we could have killed someone. Sometimes I think back to when we hit that certain car and I feel sick now about how stupid it was. When I first got my license, me and my buddies decided to do something similar but not quite as dumb. We drove around with slingshots and flung paintballs at semi-trailers on the road. I think we made more mess inside my truck than the side of the trailers. Slingshots and paintballs don't work well together. Glad you see it's stupid now. I'm sure you've grown so much and apparently you feel bad, so no one should be getting mad. I'm sure we've all done some crazy stuff as young individuals. We learn and grow from our mistakes. Hopefully no one for severely hurt from what you all did. I remember doing stuff like this. Used to love egging cars when I was younger, always got such a kick out of it. My friend lived in a neighborhood that had a golf course and there was this perfect gap where we could walk across the course and be covered behind trees and bush line right next to one of the most crowded roads. I remember one time bolting back to the car's wet park because of a lady chasing us. Good times. Me and my buddy did something similar. We found a dead squirrel and strung it up on a tree branch over the road. We held on to the other side of the rope and would drop it suddenly as cars went by. One time the school bus came, bouncing it off the side. We left it hanging for a couple more days as it grew to be twice the size. Felt bad about it, but seemed wildly hilarious at the time. My fiend at the time, middle school, threw a snowball at a truck. The people ended up chasing after us. They saw which house we went into and my friend left their backpack on the porch and the people took it. The people called the police. My friend made up a story about how him and I were having a snowball fight and suddenly this person started following us. I wasn't the one that did anything, but my parents and the police got involved. Everyone bought the story. We didn't see the people whose truck was hit. Pretty sure they passed on a message of apology for chasing down and frightening middle school kids. Another time though, I stole some of my dad's black power. That same friend lit it on fire while looking over it. Received some pretty bad second-degree burns over a good portion of his face. He sold his parents we were playing with fireworks. His parents never even got a hold of my parents to say what happened. I wouldn't be surprised if the story would have fallen apart if it was looked into more. I guess we could have made up a story about how we found fireworks or something.